we came together, like No Pride in Prisons as it currently exists came together around the 2015 Auckland Pride Parade, where it was announced, well, it was announced in the weeks leading up that for the first time uniformed police and corrections officers would be allowed to march in the parade, representing their workplaces and the institutions that they're a part of. So obviously we weren't very happy about that. There were a lot of other people who weren't very happy about that either. So three people from our organisation disrupted the parade. I think a lot of people have heard about what happened as a result. And basically people weren't very happy with us after that, including the Pride Board. They actually reacted, even in the media, very, very badly.
Yeah. So in Aotearoa, like the social context of like policing has always been like the repression of like Māori as a political unit. So the first police force in this country was the Armed Constabulary Force, which was literally the occupational military, who like my ancestors were killed fighting at Ruapekapeka. So like the police force in this country is literally just the renamed military used to kill Māori and expropriate our land. And they serve the same function today. When you look at policing, you know, every statistics on police use of force shows that police use violence against Māori at like 8 times threat they use violence against Pākehā. Like they're not an apolitical institution, they've got a job and they're doing it really, really well. And their job is, you know, the oppression of Māori. So that's part of why we're opposed to their involvement in the Pride Parade.
And I think on the subject of corrections specifically, I mean, the fundamental first reason why we didn't want uniformed corrections officers to be marching in the parade is because the prison is a site of violence. There is violence built into the very foundations of the prison, and there is nothing humane or rehabilitative about locking people in a cage because you don't like what they've done. I guess for a second reason was the kind of the specific mistreatment of trans prisoners in Aotearoa, which comes down to firstly the placement policies of the Department of Corrections. So the policy in New Zealand is that prisoners will be placed in a prison which kind of matches the gender marked on their birth certificate, or the sex marked on their birth certificate. And what that means is, for a lot of trans people, they will be placed in a prison which is, you know, obviously which doesn't match their gender identity and the way that they live their day-to-day life, because the process of getting the sex marked on your birth certificate changed is quite costly, and it's a really lengthy process. You have to jump through a lot of judicial hoops, and it's just a really, really painstaking process. And it also doesn't really mean a whole lot to trans people's everyday lives to have the sex on their birth certificate changed. So what that basically means is that, like, trans women are 90% of the time basically are placed in men's prisons where they're incredibly vulnerable to violence and to sexual violence. So we kind of saw the Department of Corrections as absolutely facilitating and being essentially responsible for that violence against trans women. So I guess that's why we didn't want uniformed corrections officers to be marching, essentially.
So they announced that they weren't going to let corrections march, and corrections, you know, predictably was like, yeah, we're very disappointed by this decision and we'll be, you know, engaging in negotiations, and it was very clear that that wasn't final. So we began sort of planning a potential action for if they changed their minds, and sure enough they did. They let corrections march on the basis of an extremely unclear commitment to some sort of improvement in the future.
Yeah. Is vaguely worded promises of we will begin looking at, over the next 12 months, some ways in which we can improve our policies. And it was the same basis of policy change that the police were allowed to march, because the police have a full commitment to not being racist, which means nothing in the face of the material fact that they are racist. Which again, that's a point that I tried to stress at the Pride Board, which they seem, again, not to understand. But there's a difference between pretty words and jackboots.
This year, the response from the board has been a lot different. They've been kind of outwardly supportive of what we're doing, and actually a lot of that comes down to the fact that they managed to hire a public relations team for themselves after what was essentially like the shitfest of last year's parade, and how they publicly responded to that. They hired a PR team to basically walk them through how to respond to people like us. So as opposed to last year when they were basically just kind of hounding us in the media, this year they were sort of supportive. They were saying, you know, like, we respect their right to protest and we respect their message. We just think that they went about it in the wrong way, which is like a classic response.
Yeah.
A lot of the response that we've gotten from like the Auckland queer community is that, you know, like, they respect what we have to say, but they think that we're going about it in the wrong way, so they think that we shouldn't be disrupting the parade, we should be engaging in a dialogue. And actually we are. If they were actually interested at all in our organisation and what we do, then they would know that we have been engaging in like a year-long dialogue with the Pride Board. We've been attending community consultation hui. We have been, you know, Emmy has been having extensive conversations with members of the Pride Board, like meeting up in cafes and talking about the Pride Parade. So people don't understand that actually this is an ongoing issue that we're trying to address. We don't just kind of want to show up to the parade every year and like jump onto the road and try to stop people from marching. That's not what we're interested in.
Yeah, it's no pride in prisons, not no pride in parades, you know.
Surely people can or should be able to realise that putting yourself in these situations where you are responded to with violence and so much hate, that obviously that's a last resort, you know? Like, it's not something that you do for fun.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
Last year we had, in 2015 we had a couple of people marching in the parade. Our response came way too late for us to register for a float in 2015, but a few people were part of the Art Space float in all black with morning candles and a vigil for dead trans women of colour, and they were told to cheer up. Put a smile on their faces, that Pride was about celebration. This year we registered for a float, and apart from being contacted by the PR team, they didn't really get back to us. So, you know, why don't you engage in dialogue? We did. Why don't you march in the actual parade? We tried to. They promised us a float and they never got back to us. And it was, I think, reasonable of us to decide that we couldn't march in a parade anyway, where they had gone back on their word and decided to let uniformed corrections officers march on the basis of vague promises to possibly not let trans women get raped.
Yeah, like, it's about kaupapa, I feel, and when an event has had it laid out for them very, very clearly that one of the organisations who they are explicitly condoning facilitates the rape of trans women in custody, that becomes part of the kaupapa of that event, that they are explicitly saying this organisation is cool and we are friends with them and we like it when they march with us. And it's ridiculous for people to say that we should have marched as well. That would be condoning the kaupapa that we were there to protest in the first place, I feel.
Marching in the same parade as good old Judith Collins.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in marching alongside Judith Collins, who makes rape jokes about prisoners. She's revolting, and so was last year's Pride and the Pride before that.
The blockade, we were all, in the end we all blockaded, I think. The initial plan was there was like two groups of us that we would at first come and disrupt the parade, and then like we were planning that we'd be met with resistance, and that was why we had that other group of like, we called them the barbecue people. It was such a contentious space because every single thing that we talk about was like, you can't come across it, you know, the reality of the situation, because it was in that exact moment, like, we're here, we're queer, from the barricade, from the side. At a Pride Parade.
And we stopped the parade for what? One and a half hours. Yeah, one and a half hours. Yeah.
I guess I would probably talk about my experience when we were standing as audience to the parade at first, before we kind of like took off our shirts covering our No Pride in Prisons tops, and we were right opposite the glam stand, which meant that we could see exactly everybody that was in the VIP area, and there were the members of the Pride Board, but it was predominantly sponsors that were there, a couple of riders and stuff, but they had performances and they had an MC in the glam stand, and the MC was speaking to the people who are in the VIP section and not to the people, you know, on the other side. And it was like that really clear division, that like the way that he faced, it's not about the people in the streets anymore, it's about the people in the stands, the people who can afford those tickets, and that's like a really clear demarcation of who Pride is for, you know, in 2016. It's not for all the different kinds of people that come together, it's for the people who have enough money to be able to, you know, fund this guy's sparkly shirt.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for these courageous four that have put themselves in the line. But we have to ask you to move. I am terribly sorry, but thank you so much for coming along.
But I think it was really kind of difficult to watch that all happening and then like kind of blithely applaud the Coke float as it came past, to cheer when the ANZ float came past and relish in this financialisation of our identities.
So the action began on K Road, and the intention was always that we were going to march down to the parade, because it wouldn't have been much of an action if we didn't really confront the things that we were going to talk about. So we marched down. There were about 300 of us. The Herald reported 50. There were 300 of us. Some people said 400, but I'm going to say 300. I'm going to be nice and moderate about it. And we marched down on Ponsonby Road, all 300 of us. Young people, most of us queer, 99% of us queer. There may have been like the odd straight ally, but 99% of us queer. And like it was pretty like fucking profound.
It was intense. Like just like 300 very angry, like
but like
passionate
righteously
queers.
angry.
Yeah.
There was this amazing moment when they were doing a performance at the VIP stand that we saw the back of, and we looked to our right and we saw this like sea of people coming down Ponsonby Road wearing black, and everyone kind of just stopped and looked, and like there was this like feeling in the air. It was like kind of like chilling.
We're not going anywhere. Army of the rich, enemy of the poor. 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 Shame, 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 Army of the rich, enemy of the poor. Army of the rich, enemy of the poor. Pigs, 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 pigs.
People were people were actively being told, you know, like, last year when you started shit, we told you that this year we, the people, would come and remove you by any means necessary, you know, and you're doing this shit again, so here we are. And there wasn't even really police stepped in, but there wasn't really even a need for them to. Like, I feel like a lot of people were taking things into their own hands even before the cops showed up, and there was a lot of cheering the cops on and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I got through the barricades a few times. I'd say 3 times. On the first time I got through, you know, there was just this real hostility. I've never experienced such venom, such hostility, such violence from a crowd. Normally when you protest, it's confused people on the side taking pictures, or the few, you know, a couple of like car honks to show support, but this was like, there was poisonous.
There was people in the crowd like going out of their way to come in between me and the cops, and like would like respond to our chants really like horribly. You know, we would be like, fuck this parade, and they'd be like, fuck your mom, like just repeatedly every single time. And yeah, and they just wouldn't relent, and they were like waving their rainbow flags in our faces, like trying to poke our eyes out, and the cops weren't doing anything about that. But you know, God forbid we disrupt their little party.
That was something really ugly that I saw, as well as, you know, even when there's a police presence at protests, they claim it's for protection of everybody, including the protesters.
Yeah.
But so many of the injuries that the protesters sustained were from the crowd,
yeah,
and from security, and the police did absolutely nothing to stop that from happening.
No.
You know?
And the police were actively violent. They kept doing this weird like wrist hold, that was like very close to like, they were being really careful to not seem violent because of what happened last year at Pride.
But like, suffice to say, like, last year when Emmy got her arm broken, the police sat on her with her broken arm.
So police are violent, we won't be silent, basically.
When we came out from behind the barriers and we like ran onto the road and sat down, there was like this division, right? There was like the pretend cops were marching along with their horses, and then the real cops were standing in front of the people to protect them from seeing us, so that they could only see the fake cops and the horses and stuff. Like, when the presenters came over and told us to move, they gave us a microphone for a second, and we talked about you know, why we were there. It's because we're there on behalf of the people that can't, because they're so fucking downtrodden that they don't get a voice. The guy kind of like sits down, misgenders somebody, and then goes like, why can't we just like celebrate this right now? Like, you're interrupting our celebration. It's like, the fuck are you celebrating for?
Hey,
we were dividing the community.
Yeah.
Which I just think is so like dishonest and kind of like morally repugnant in the sense of like you know the community is divided. Also, I think you know there's no access to education that will teach you about the real history of Aotearoa, the real history of violent homophobia and transphobia and racism in this country.
You know, given the option of being, you know, beaten by cops and being like, you know, objectified for corporate sponsorship by cops, you're going to pick the latter if you think that's your only option. And that's why it's actually important that we keep being visible, because like me and the person next to me in the barricade, one of the people that was like trying to fight us, that wasn't a cop. She was Maori, and she like we actually talked her through it, and like she actually went at that moment from like disagreeing with us to agreeing with us, and she turned around and started waving her rainbow flag at the cops, and like that's a really like profound way of like, you know, raising that class consciousness.
Yeah, we're supposed to be starting a conversation, and we don't think queer people should be a singular like homogeneous political entity, you know, that only has radical opinions. We know that's not the case. It's okay, we can have a conversation. We want to start a conversation, and we do like have an obligation to resist what we know is violence, and
yeah.
On the queerest street in Auckland, unlike the corporatised, gentrified street of Ponsonby, we have retaken the street, and we're going to start the real Pride March. 1, 2, 3, 4. We know what we're fighting for. 5, 6, 7, 8. Abolishing the prison state. John Key, fuck you. John Key, fuck you. Trans prisoners need rights too. Trans prisoners need rights too. What do we say to the prisons who think that they can get away with facilitating the rape of trans women? What do we say? What do we say to these cops and all the cops who are marching in that parade, who commit untold violence against Māori and other marginalised people?
Good pick.